They mocked the human for buying a rejected ship, until it became a monster. Part 1. The salvage station Theta 9 floated in the darkness of space like a mountain of broken dreams. Thousands of old ships sat in its docking bays, waiting for buyers who would never come. Most of these ships were damaged beyond repair. Others were simply too old to be useful. The station was where vessels came to die. Park walked through the maze of rusted metal and cracked hulls with tired eyes. He had been searching for 3 days now. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor as he passed rows of abandoned ships. Each one had a price tag. Each one had a story of failure. Was 34 years old. He had spent 15 years working as a mechanic and engineer on various ships across the galaxy. His hands were rough from years of hard work. His face showed the marks of someone who had seen difficult times. 2 months ago, the corporate freighter company he worked for had closed down. They gave him his final payment and told him to find another job. But did not want another job working for someone else. He wanted his own ship. He wanted to be free. The problem was simple. Good ships cost a fortune, had saved money for years, but it was not enough for anything decent. So he came to Theta 9, where broken ships were sold for low prices. Maybe, just maybe, he could find something worth saving. The alien merchants watched him with amusement as he inspected ship after ship. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. They were known as a young species, barely 100 years into space travel. Most aliens thought humans were foolish and weak. On the 4th day, found her. She sat alone at the far end of Docking Bay 47, a medium-class cruiser about 60 meters long. Her hull was covered in scorch marks and deep scratches. Several panels were missing entirely. The name painted on her side was faded but still readable, Hollow Wind. Stood still and looked at her for a long time. A merchant named noticed him staring, was tall with gray skin and 4 arms. He walked over with a smile that showed too many teeth. "Ah, the human is interested in that one," said with a laugh. "That ship has been rejected by 17 buyers. 17. The engine core is cracked. The navigation computer is corrupted beyond repair. There are stress fractures in the main hull. She is not a ship anymore. She is a tomb waiting to happen." Did not respond. He walked closer to the Hollow Wind and placed his hand on her damaged hull. The metal was cold under his fingers. "I want to see inside," he said quietly. Laughed again. "Your funeral, human, but I warn you, the smell alone will convince you to leave." The interior of the Hollow Wind was worse than expected. Wires hung from the ceiling like dead vines. The floor was covered in dust and debris. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting strange shadows on the walls. The air smelled of oil and decay. But walked slowly through each room. He checked the structural supports. He examined the wiring. He spent 2 hours in the engine room, looking at the cracked core that everyone said was impossible to fix. When he finally came out, a small crowd of alien merchants had gathered. They whispered to each other and pointed at him. A few were already laughing. "I will buy her," said. The laughter exploded, nearly fell over, his 4 arms waving in the air. "The human has lost his mind," shouted a merchant. "That ship will kill him before he leaves the station." "Let him buy it," said another. "It will be good entertainment watching him fail." Wiped tears from his eyes and pulled out a data pad. Very well, I will sell you this wonderful vessel. The price is 5,000 credits, a bargain for your own death ship." It was a joke price. A working ship of that size would cost 500,000, was basically giving it away. Transferred the money without hesitation. It was almost everything he had. The crowd slowly went away, still laughing and shaking their heads. Word spread quickly across the station. The foolish human had bought the worst ship in Theta 9. Bets were already being placed on how many days he would survive. That evening, sat alone in the Hollow Wind's broken cockpit. He ate a simple meal and stared at the dead control panels in front of him. He did not feel foolish. He felt something else entirely. He felt hope. A knock on the hull made him turn around. A young woman stood at the entrance, a bag over her shoulder. She was human, with short black hair and sharp eyes. "I heard a human bought a death ship," she said. "I had to see it for myself." Stood up. "Who are you?" "Cargo specialist. I have been stuck on this station for 2 months. My last ship left without me after a disagreement with the captain." She looked around at the damaged interior. "This is impressive in a terrible way." "It can be fixed," said. Raised an eyebrow. "Everyone says it cannot be fixed. The engine core alone would cost more to repair than a new ship." "Everyone is wrong." There was silence for a moment, studied carefully. She saw something in his eyes, not madness as the aliens believed, something else, certainty. "I need to get off this station," she said finally. "I will help you. If you actually manage to make this thing fly, you give me passage to the next civilized port. Deal?" Considered for a moment, then nodded. "Deal." Dropped her bag on the dusty floor and looked around again. "So where do we start?" Smiled for the first time in days. He walked to the back of the ship and opened the door to the engine room. The cracked core sat in the center, dark and silent. According to every engineer in the galaxy, it was dead, beyond saving, worthless. But saw something different. He saw potential. "We start here," he said. "We start with her heart." Outside the ship, the aliens continued their jokes and their betting. None of them understood what they were looking at. None of them knew what humans were capable of when everyone told them something was impossible. Placed his hand on the cold engine core and made a silent promise to the hollow wind. He would bring her back to life, and together they would prove everyone wrong. They mocked the human for buying a rejected ship until it became a monster. Part 2. 6 weeks passed on Theta 9 station. 6 weeks of hard work, sleepless nights, and endless mockery from every alien who walked past Docking Bay 47. Park worked from morning until his eyes could no longer stay open. His hands were covered in burns and cuts. Oil stained his clothes and his skin. But every day, the hollow wind looked a little better. Helped where she could. She was not an engineer, but she was strong and willing to learn. She carried heavy parts, held tools, and brought food when forgot to eat, which was often. "You have not slept in 2 days," said one evening, finding deep inside an access panel. "You will kill yourself before the ship does." "Almost finished with the secondary power lines," replied, his voice muffled. "Cannot stop now." Sighed and left a meal beside him. She had learned that arguing with was pointless when he was focused. The alien merchants continued to watch with amusement. They took breaks from their work to come and observe the crazy human. Some brought food and drinks, treating it like entertainment. Visited almost every day. He seemed genuinely confused by what he saw. "You are welding by hand," he said one afternoon, watching repair a hull fracture. "Why do you not use repair drones? Why do you not use automated systems?" Wiped sweat from his face. "Drones follow programs. They fix things the same way every time, but every crack is different. Every piece of damage has its own story. You have to feel it, understand it, then find the right solution." Shook his head. "This is why humans are still a minor species. You waste time on methods that were abandoned centuries ago." "Maybe," said, "or maybe you abandoned something important." He returned to his welding and walked away with more questions than answers. The biggest challenge was the engine core. Every expert in the galaxy agreed on one thing: a cracked plasma core could not be repaired. Once the containment shell was damaged, the whole unit had to be replaced. The energy inside was too unstable, too dangerous. Attempting repairs was suicide. But new plasma cores cost more than could ever afford, and he refused to give up. He spent 2 weeks studying the crack. He measured it. He analyzed its patterns. He calculated the stress points and the energy flow. Slowly, an idea formed in his mind. What if he did not try to heal the crack? What if, instead, he worked with it? It was a crazy idea. No engineer would consider it, but was not just any engineer. He built a secondary containment shell around the crack section, using materials he found in the station's garbage areas. He installed pressure valves that would release energy in controlled bursts instead of letting it build up. He rewired the entire power distribution system to handle irregular output. He was not fixing the engine. He was teaching it to live with its damage. Word spread across the station. The human was actually trying to repair the plasma core. More aliens came to watch, expecting an explosion at any moment. One night, while worked alone in the engine room, he heard footsteps behind him. He turned to find a standing in the doorway. She was smaller than most of her species, with delicate wings folded against her back and large compound eyes that reflected the dim light. "I am," she said. Her voice was soft, almost musical. "I am an engineer. I came to see your foolishness for myself." Turned back to his work. "You came to laugh like the others." "I came to laugh, yes." Moved closer, her eyes fixed on the engine core. "But now I am not sure." She watched in silence as adjusted the pressure valves. Her compound eyes missed nothing. "This should not work," she said finally. "You are breaking every rule of plasma core engineering." "Rules are just old solutions," replied. "Sometimes problems need new answers." "But the instability, the risk." "Life is risk." Looked at her. "That core was rejected because it was not perfect, but nothing is perfect. Everything has damage, has cracks, has problems. Does that mean everything should be thrown away?" Did not answer. She stayed and watched for 3 more hours before leaving without a word. She came back the next night, and the night after that. On the 37th day, announced that the engine was ready for testing. The news spread like fire across Theta 9. Aliens came from all parts of the station to watch. They filled the observation area overlooking Docking Bay 47. Many had brought snacks. Some had brought emergency equipment, expecting to see a spectacular explosion. Stood beside in the engine room. Her face was pale. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. Placed his hand on the modified engine core. It was warm now, humming softly with contained energy. "She is ready," he said. "I can feel it." He walked to the control panel and entered the ignition sequence. The engine began to wake up. Power flowed through the new pathways he had created. The pressure valves adjusted automatically, releasing small bursts of energy in a rhythm that almost sounded like breathing. The humming grew louder. The ship began to shake. In the observation area, aliens leaned forward. This was the moment. Surely the ship would explode now. The shaking stopped. The humming became smooth and steady. Lights flickered on throughout the ship, one section at a time, like a sleeping creature opening its eyes. The hollow wind was alive. Silence filled the observation area. Then chaos. Aliens shouted in disbelief. Some demanded to know how it was possible. Others accused of cheating somehow. Pushed through the crowd and ran to Docking Bay 47. He burst into the ship and found standing in the engine room, a tired smile on his face. "How?" demanded. "How did you do this? That core was dead. Everyone said so." Looked at the running engine, its light reflecting in his eyes. "Everyone was wrong," he said simply. "She just needed someone to believe in her." Stared at him for a long moment. For the first time, there was no mockery in his eyes. There was something else, something that might have been the beginning of respect. Behind them stood in the doorway. She had watched the entire test. Her scientific mind was still struggling to accept what she had seen. Every rule she knew said this should have failed. Yet here was the proof, humming softly in front of her. She made a decision. "I want to join you," she said. And both turned to look at her. "I have spent my life following rules and accepted truths," continued. "But you have shown me that there are other ways. I want to learn. I want to understand how humans think. Looked at, who shrugged. We could use an engineer who actually knows what she is doing, said with a small smile. Nodded at, welcome to the hollow wind. That night as the station slept, the three of them sat in the ship's cockpit, planning their first journey. Outside, the stars waited. The jokes had not stopped completely. Many aliens still believed the ship would fail eventually, but something had changed. A small seed of doubt had been planted. Maybe the human was not so foolish after all. They mocked the human for buying a rejected ship, until it became a monster. Part 3. The hollow wind moved through space like a creature learning to walk again. Her engines made sounds they should not make. Her systems responded in unexpected ways, but she was flying. Park sat in the captain's chair, his hands resting on controls that finally worked. Behind him, monitored the cargo systems while ran endless diagnostics on everything. The navigation computer is giving strange readings, reported. It suggests routes that no normal computer would choose. She was corrupted when I got her, explained. I managed to restore most functions, but some of her old patterns remain. She thinks differently now. Differently wrong or differently interesting? Asked. We will find out. They had left Theta 9 3 days ago. Their destination was a small trading post called Station, where new merchants who might offer work. It was not much of a plan, but it was a start. On the fifth day, everything changed. The distress signal came through weak and broken, was the first to notice it. Someone is calling for help, she said. The signal is coming from the asteroid field. Wings twitched with concern. The field is extremely dangerous. The asteroids are unstable. Most ships avoid it completely. Was already adjusting course. Can you clean up the signal? Worked her console. After a few moments, a voice came through, filled with static and fear. Diplomatic Transport 7, under attack. Raiders, hiding in the asteroid field. Engines damaged, please, anyone. The message repeated, each time weaker than before. Raiders, said quietly. They are ruthless pirates. They attack ships, steal cargo, and sell survivors as slaves. We should not get involved. Someone is in trouble, said. Someone we do not know, on a ship we cannot help, against enemies we cannot fight. His compound eyes looked at him with concern. The hollow wind has no weapons worth mentioning. We have 3 crew members. This would be suicide. Had pulled up information on the distress call. It is a diplomatic transport, probably carrying important people. If we save them, the reward could be significant. And if we fail, we die, replied. Was silent for a moment. He looked at the navigation display, showing the dangerous asteroid field ahead. He thought about all the people who had looked at the hollow wind and seen only death waiting to happen. All the people who had told him he was foolish for trying. We did not survive just to run, he said finally. Set course for the asteroid field. Started to argue, then stopped. She had seen that look in his eyes before in the engine room of Theta 9. It was useless to argue. I hope you know what you are doing, she said quietly. The asteroid field was like a maze made of mountain-sized rocks. They tumbled and crashed into each other in slow motion, creating waves of debris that could destroy any ship caught in the wrong place. The hollow wind entered the field carefully. Her unusual navigation patterns actually helped here. Normal computers tried to calculate safe paths through chaos. The hollow wind seemed to feel her way through, reacting to dangers before sensors could properly detect them. They found the transport hidden behind a massive asteroid. The ship was badly damaged, one engine completely destroyed. Around it, 3 raider ships circled like predators waiting for their prey to weaken. They know the transport cannot escape, whispered. They are waiting for the pilot to give up or for the asteroids to finish the job. Studied the enemy ships. They were small and fast, built for quick attacks. Each one had weapons that could cut through the hollow wind's hull easily. "Open a channel to the ship," he ordered. His fingers moved across her console. A moment later, a tired voice answered. "Unknown vessel, this is of the diplomatic corps. Please do not approach. The raiders will destroy you." "This is the cargo vessel Hollow Wind. We are here to help." There was a pause. "Help with one ship against 3 raiders. You are either brave or insane." "Probably both," muttered. Ignored her. "Can your ship still move at all?" "Basic thrust only. We cannot escape the asteroid field." "You do not need to escape. You just need to follow me when I tell you. Can you do that?" Another pause. "We can try." Close the channel and turn to his crew. "Here is what we are going to do." The plan was insane. Even knew it was insane, but insane was all they had. The hollow wind shot out from behind an asteroid, engines burning bright. The 3 raider ships immediately noticed and turned to pursue. On the lead ship, Captain watched with amusement. "A cargo ship thinks it can challenge us," she laughed. "Destroy it quickly, then we take the diplomats." The raiders opened fire. Energy blasts flew through space toward the hollow wind. But was not trying to fight. He was flying deeper into the asteroid field, into areas so dangerous that normal pilots would never go. The hollow wind twisted and turned, slipping through gaps that should have been too small. "This is impossible," gasped, holding onto her seat. "No ship should be able to maneuver like this." "She is not a normal ship," replied. His hands moved across the controls like he was playing an instrument. The hollow wind responded to every touch, every thought. The raider ships followed, but they struggled. Their computers told them the paths were too dangerous. Their pilots hesitated where did not. One raider got too close to a tumbling asteroid. The impact tore off its left wing and sent it spinning into another rock. Explosion lit up the darkness. "One down," counted. Captain's voice came over an open channel full of anger. "All ships pull back. Do not follow them further. Wait at the edge of the field." Smiled. This was exactly what he wanted. He guided the hollow wind in a wide circle, coming back toward the transport from a different direction. The raiders could not see them. "Start moving. Follow the path I am sending to your navigation computer. Do it now." The diplomatic transport began to move, slowly and painfully, following its route. The path took them through the most dangerous part of the asteroid field, but it also kept them hidden from the waiting raiders. Captain realized too late what was happening. By the time she ordered her ships back into the field, the hollow wind and the transport were almost clear. The remaining 2 raiders gave chase, but they had lost too much time, led both ships out of the asteroid field and into open space. The transport's basic engines pushed to maximum, carrying them away from danger. Captain's final message was simple and cold. "This is not over, human. I will find you, and I will make you suffer." The channel went silent. 2 hours later, the hollow wind and the transport reached the safety of a nearby patrol zone. Help arrived soon after. Contacted personally. She was an elegant female with silver skin and eyes that had seen many wonders, but nothing had prepared her for this. "You saved my life," she said. "You saved my entire delegation, in a garbage ship that everyone in the galaxy mocks." "She is not garbage," replied. "She is just different." Studied him for a long moment. "I will remember this, Captain. I will make sure others remember it too. The galaxy needs to know what happened here today." After the call ended and found in the engine room, checking on the plasma core. It was still running smoothly, its gentle hum filling the space. "We actually did it," said, still not quite believing it. Looked at the engine with new eyes. "The maneuvers you made in that asteroid field, they should not have been possible, but somehow you and this ship." "We understand each other," said simply. He placed his hand on the warm metal of the engine housing. "She is not broken. She is just built differently, like all of us. Somewhere in the void, Captain was already planning her revenge. She had lost 2 ships and her pride. The human would pay for that. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, the crew of the Hollow Wind had proven something important. They had shown that the ship everyone rejected could do things no one believed possible. And this was only the beginning. They mocked the human for buying a rejected ship until it became a monster. Part 4. 6 months had passed since the rescue in the asteroid field. In that time, the Hollow Wind had become something unexpected. She had become a legend. Word spread quickly in the galaxy. A broken ship that should have been destroyed had saved a diplomatic convoy. A human captain with a crew of 3 had experienced pirates in impossible conditions. At first, no one believed the stories. Then more stories came. The Hollow Wind completed a cargo run through the Poison Nebula, where radiation killed most electronics, had somehow shielded the ship using nothing but modified hull plates and creative engineering. The Hollow Wind rescued miners trapped in a collapsing asteroid. She had no rescue equipment, so cut through the rock using the ship's damaged plasma vents, turning a weakness into a tool. The Hollow Wind broke through a military blockade to deliver medicine to a dying colony. 3 warships could not stop her. Each mission should have been impossible. Each mission added to the legend. Pirates began calling the ship the Monster. They shared stories in dark bars across the galaxy. Stories about a ship that appeared from nowhere, that moved in ways no ship should move, that could not be destroyed no matter how many weapons you fired at her. Some said the ship was haunted. Others said the human captain had made a deal with dark forces. Nobody understood the simple truth. Park and the Hollow Wind had become something more than a man and his ship. They had become partners. The crew had grown as well. A human weapons specialist named Lee had joined them 2 months ago. He was a former military officer who had left service after seeing too much war. He heard the stories about the Hollow Wind and traveled across 3 sectors to find her. "I want to fight for something that matters," he had told at their first meeting. "Not for governments or corporations, for something real." Had looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Welcome aboard." Turned out to be excellent at his job. He installed better weapons on the ship and trained the crew in combat tactics. The Hollow Wind was still not a warship, but she could now bite back when attacked. But not everyone was happy about the ship's growing fame. Admiral of the military had a personal interest in destroying the Hollow Wind. Captain had been his niece. When she failed to capture the transport, her crew had abandoned her in shame. She had disappeared into the void, her reputation destroyed. Also had 2 nephews serving on the raider ships that day. One died in the asteroid collision. The other was captured by patrol forces and sentenced to prison. This human and his garbage ship had cost his family. He would not rest until both were destroyed. "I want the monster found," ordered his commanders. "I want it trapped. I want to personally watch it burn." His scouts searched for months. They tracked the Hollow Wind across dozens of systems. They studied her patterns, her routes, her habits. Finally, they found the perfect trap. The Hollow Wind was traveling near the system when the emergency call came. A civilian freighter was reporting distress near a collapsing neutron star. The radiation was extreme. The gravitational forces were deadly. No normal rescue ship could reach them in time. "It is a trap," said immediately. "The timing is too perfect. The location is too convenient." "Probably," agreed. "Then we should not go." Looked at the emergency signal, at the coordinates showing a ship full of innocent people dying slowly near a star that was tearing itself apart. "We have to go," he said, "even if it is a trap." "That is exactly what they want," pointed out. "They know you cannot ignore someone in trouble. They are using your own kindness against you." "Then they know me well," turned to his crew. "I will not order anyone to come with me. This might be our last flight. Anyone who wants to leave can take an escape pod now." Nobody moved. "Stupid humans," muttered. "You have infected me with your foolishness." Smiled and set course for the neutron star. Admiral was waiting. His fleet of 12 ships surrounded the neutron star at a safe distance. In the center, the civilian freighter dropped its disguise and revealed itself as a military command ship. It had never been in danger. "The monster has arrived," one of its officers reported. Single ship, approaching the radiation zone. Stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small shape of the hollow wind on his screens. After all this time, after all his planning, he finally had the human. "All ships close the circle," he ordered. "Do not let it escape." The fleet began moving, 12 ships against 1. Even the legendary monster could not survive these odds. But was not trying to escape. He was flying directly toward the neutron star, into the radiation zone that was killing the enemy's sensors and targeting computers. "He is insane," whispered. "The radiation will destroy his ship faster than our weapons." "Sir, should we follow?" Hesitated. The radiation was dangerous, but his ships were military grade. They could survive longer than a civilian vessel. "All ships pursue. End this now." The fleet followed the hollow wind into hell. Inside the radiation zone, everything became chaos. Sensors screamed. Computers failed. Navigation became guesswork. Ships stayed in formation through training and discipline, but they could barely see the enemy. The hollow wind, however, was built for chaos. Her damaged systems, her unusual engineering, her unpredictable responses, all of these became advantages. The radiation that blinded normal computers did not affect her corrupted navigation the same way. Could feel the patterns of the neutron star's gravity, the waves of energy pulsing out in regular intervals. He had been studying this star for 2 months, ever since hearing rumors about military activity in the area. He knew exactly when the next gravitational pulse would come. "Hold on," he warned his crew. The pulse hit like a giant hand slapping all the ships at once. The vessels, flying in tight formation, crashed into each other. 2 ships were destroyed immediately. 3 more were badly damaged. His flagship was thrown sideways, spinning out of control. By the time his crew regained navigation, they had been pushed to the edge of the radiation zone. And the hollow wind was behind them. Opened fire with everything the ship had. It was not much, but the flagship's shields were already weakened by radiation and collision damage. Explosions bloomed across hull. "Report!" screamed. "Engines at 40%, shields failing, 3 more ships destroyed, the others are scattered." The monster had cut through his fleet like they were nothing. Grabbed the communication controls and broadcast on all channels. "Human, show yourself, face me." His face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but calm. "Admiral," he said, "your trap failed. Your fleet is broken. Take your remaining ships and leave." "You think you have won?" His voice shook with rage. "I will hunt you across the galaxy. I will never stop. Never." "I know," his voice was almost sad. "That is why I am giving you one chance. Go home, mourn your family, let this end." "What are you?" Considered the question for a moment. "Just a human who does not know when to quit." He closed the channel. The hollow wind turned and flew away, disappearing into the chaos of the radiation zone. When sensors finally recovered, there was no sign of the monster anywhere. The admiral sat in his broken flagship, surrounded by the wreckage of his fleet, and understood something terrible. He had not been hunting the monster. The monster had been waiting for him. They mocked the human for buying a rejected ship, until it became a monster. Part 5. 1 year had passed since Park walked into salvage station Theta 9 with nothing but his savings and a dream. Now he was returning as something else entirely. The hollow wind approached the station slowly, giving everyone time to see her. She looked different now. Her hull was covered in patch marks and repair welds, each one telling a story of a battle survived or a mission completed. New equipment hung from her frame, added piece by piece over months of work. She was not beautiful, but she was magnificent. Ships moved out of her way. Pilots who would have laughed at her a year ago now watched with respect and fear. The monster had come home. Guided the ship into Docking Bay 47, the same bay where he had first found her. The same bay where everyone had mocked him for buying a death ship. News of his arrival spread across the station within minutes. By the time he walked down the boarding ramp, a crowd had already gathered. But this crowd was not laughing. Young pilots pushed forward, hopping to get close to the legendary captain. Merchants called out offers for exclusive cargo contracts. Engineers begged to see the engine room, to understand how it achieved the impossible. Walked beside her, arms crossed, a slight smile on her face. "Remember when they called this a garbage ship?" "I remember," said. Lee followed them, his hand resting on the weapon at his side. He did not trust crowds. Half of these people probably had bets against us surviving the first month. 63%, corrected. Her compound eyes had already identified several of the original betting pool members. The odds were quite unfavorable. Walked through the crowd without stopping, heading for the merchant section of the station. He had business to finish. Saw him coming. The merchant had changed in the past year. He no longer wore the confident smile of someone who knew everything. He looked uncertain, uncomfortable, like a person whose entire understanding of the universe had been proven wrong. "Captain," he said, his four arms clasped together in a gesture of respect. I am glad to see you." Stopped in front of the merchant who had sold him the hollow wind. "I wanted to thank you." Blinked. "Thank me. I sold you a ship everyone believed would kill you. I laughed at you. I mocked you in front of the entire station." "You gave her a chance," said simply. "You could have sent her to the scrap processors. You could have broken her down for parts. Instead, you kept her on the lot. You let me find her." "I kept her because no one would buy her," admitted, "not because I believed in her." "But you did not destroy her. That was enough." Was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached into his robe and pulled out a data pad. "Captain, I have an offer for you. A serious offer, not a joke this time. I want to buy the hollow wind. I will pay 50 times what you paid, more if you negotiate. You could buy any ship in the galaxy with that money, a new ship without all the problems and damage." Looked at the data pad. It was a fortune, enough to change his life completely, enough to give his crew anything they wanted. He did not even hesitate. "No." Nodded slowly as if he had expected that answer. "I understand. She is more than a ship to you now." "She always was." A delegation approached them. 3 aliens in expensive robes, walking with the careful movements of politicians. The lead one, with silver skin and kind eyes, stopped before and bowed. "Captain Park, I am ambassador representing the Galactic Trade Council. I bring an official invitation." Waited. "The Council has watched your achievements with great interest," continued. "You have done things that our best engineers say are impossible. You have taught a rejected ship to do what our finest vessels cannot. We want to understand how." "What are you asking?" "We want you to lead a new program, teaching our engineers, our pilots, the way humans approach problems, the way you see potential where others see waste. It would be an honored position, Captain. You would have funding, resources, the respect of the entire galaxy." The offer hung in the air, and all looked at, waiting for his response. Thought about it seriously. It was a good offer, important work, a chance to change how the entire galaxy thought about things. "I will consider it," he said finally. "But first, I have something I need to do." He walked away from the delegation, through the crowd, toward the far end of the station. toward the salvage yards where broken ships waited for buyers who would never come. His crew followed without question. They had learned to trust wherever led them. The salvage yard looked exactly as remembered. Rows of damaged vessels, covered in dust and despair. Price tags hung from their hulls, numbers that dropped lower every month as hope faded. Walked slowly between the rows. He looked at each ship carefully, placing his hand on their cold metal, closing his eyes, feeling something that only he could feel. Finally, he stopped. The ship in front of him was small. A scout vessel, maybe 30 meters long. Her hull was cracked in dozens of places. One of her wings was completely missing. According to the data pad hanging from her frame, she had been rejected by 42 buyers over the past 3 years. This one said, "Looked at the wreck. That thing makes the hollow wind look like a luxury yacht. There is nothing left to save." "There is always something left to save." Placed his hand on the damaged hull, just as he had done with the hollow wind 1 year ago. "She is waiting. She just needs someone to believe in her." Stepped forward, her scientific curiosity already awakened. The structural damage alone would take months to repair. The systems are certainly corrupted. The engine will work when we are done with it. Turned to his crew with a smile. "What do you say? Want to help me prove everyone wrong again?" Laughed. "You are asking if we want to spend months working on another impossible project that everyone says will fail?" "Yes." Shrugged. "I have nothing better to do." "Count me in," added. "Someone needs to make sure you eat." His wings fluttered with excitement. "The scientific opportunity alone is worth the trouble. I must understand how humans do this." Nodded. He turned back to the little scout ship and spoke to her quietly. "Do not worry. We are going to take care of you. You are going to fly again." Behind them, the crowd had followed. Aliens watched as the legendary captain of the Hollow Wind chose another rejected ship, another impossible project. Some of them laughed. Old habits died hard. But others watched with different eyes. They watched and wondered if maybe, just maybe, the human knew something they did not. Ambassador pushed through to the front of the crowd. "Captain, I must ask, why? You could have any ship in the galaxy. Why choose broken things?" Turned to face the crowd. For a moment, he saw himself standing here 1 year ago. Tired, alone, with nothing but a dream and the mocking laughter of aliens who thought they knew everything. "Because every broken thing deserves a chance," he said. "Every damaged piece of metal, every cracked hull, every rejected engine. They all have potential. They all can become something great. You just have to look past what they are and see what they could be." He placed his hand on his chest. "Humans understand this because we have been broken too, many times. Our history is full of failure and damage and rejection, but we keep going. We keep trying. We refuse to give up on ourselves, and we refuse to give up on anything else." He looked at the Hollow Wind, sitting proud in Docking Bay 47. The monster, the legend, the ship that everyone said would never fly. "That is what humans believe," he said. "That nothing is beyond saving. That everyone deserves a chance. That the galaxy has enough people who throw broken things away. What we need are more people willing to fix them." The crowd was silent. Even the merchants who had spent years laughing at humans could not think of anything to say. Finally spoke. Her voice was quiet but carried across the silence. "Then perhaps we should all learn to be a little more human." Smiled. He turned back to the broken scout ship, ready to begin again. Behind him, the Hollow Wind waited patiently, her engine humming softly, her lights glowing warm. She had been rejected and mocked and called impossible. Now she was a legend. And soon there would be another.